Alrighty, we'll pull this to order. I appreciate everybody joining us this evening. It is 5:30 Monday, August 4th, our first meeting of the month of August. And as is our tradition, we'll go ahead and call this to order. Say welcome to everybody. I'm glad there's a good crowd here. We'll begin with invocation led by Father Wiley and then by Pledge of Allegiance. Father Wiley, if you'll come forward.
Let us pray. Gracious, loving, and almighty God, we give you thanks for the abundant blessings of this life. We thank you for gathering us together here this evening. We thank you for this city and all that work and live and play here. Father, we ask that you send out a spirit of wisdom and compassion with all those who have business with this council this evening. Father, we ask that you give this council wisdom and grace to act with humility in all the decisions that it makes. Give everyone here the spirit to listen for understanding with that same compassion and grace. And Father, we ask that you send each of us away from this place this evening with the knowledge that decisions that were made in the best interests of all that live and work and play here. All this we ask in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And as I should have done at the beginning, please take a moment in silence. Phones, watches, Meta eyewear, whatever you happen to have. I meant to do that beforehand. All right. Madam Clerk, if you please conduct a roll call.
Mayor Gaylor.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Present.
Councilman Boyette.
Present.
Councilwoman Taylor.
Present.
Councilwoman Matthews.
Present.
Councilwoman Weeks.
Present.
Councilman White.
Present. All right, all present and accounted for. It's good to see everybody again. So we'll move forward with an adoption of the agenda. Council and agenda is presented. Are there any requested changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as the business order of the day.
So moved.
All right, motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to adopt the agenda as presented as the business order of the day. Is there any debate? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion passes. Madam Clerk, would you like us to do the electronic voting this evening?
Yes, please.
All right, perfect. Then we'll do that on future items when we get to those. All right. We'll move forward with our recognitions and presentations. First, we get to celebrate a little bit. Mr. Livingston, if you would, please.
Yes. I'm going to do these down here, Mayor.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I don't know if this is working or not.
Never fails, right?
We're going to go micless then. This is our quarterly awards for City of Goldsboro. This is the Employee of the Quarter, and it's been awarded to Clayton Williams for outstanding achievement. So
I'll read this. I think it's working now, so you just give it a little delay and then it works. Clayton Williams for outstanding achievement. Senior Fleet Maintenance Mechanic Clayton Williams has demonstrated exceptional dedication and service to the City of Goldsboro. In advance of a major snow event earlier this year, Clayton spent 3 days preparing aging salt spreaders, including performing a full electrical replacement on one unit. He then volunteered to report at 2 a.m. when operations began and made 3 critical repairs on site that ensured success to the operation. His skill, commitment, and willingness to go above and beyond were instrumental in keeping streets safe and operations running smoothly. Clayton's impact extends well beyond a single event. With over 26 years of service, he has consistently taken on the most complex repairs of the city's 400-plus vehicle fleet. He has completed dozens of work orders during the first quarter alone, always showing professionalism, initiative, and a strong work ethic. As Streets and Storms Superintendent Doug Hendrickson noticed, without you, we couldn't have put out the quality of snow and ice removal that we did. Clayton's reliability, problem-solving ability, and volunteer spirit make him truly invaluable asset to our department. Clayton's work ethic and accomplishments reflect well on himself and the City of Goldsboro. Awarded this day, August 4th, 2025. up here, gentlemen. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you. Go ahead, say a few words.
Thank you.
A man of many words.
As Clayton Superintendent, I really appreciate your commitment to your job. For all the times that you've repaired city vehicles, all the extra time that you've actually volunteered to help us repair vehicles in the heavy duty shop, I applaud you and I appreciate you sincerely.
Mr. Stanley, would you like to come up and say a few words?
We never let the guys in the shop get out of the property. Every division's out doing stuff with the shop guys. We keep them close at hand so they can't get away. But they touch every division in the city. Hundreds of vehicles. They do all the PMs. They do repairs that in the past we never would even attempt because they were too complex. And we've saved a lot of money in the last few years doing home repairs and not shipping it out. So, and that's because they're dedicated. And their job is important, and everybody needs to know that we have our own in-house maintenance, and they really do an outstanding job.
Thank you. I guess we're going to get some pictures. I'm going to put this mic down. You can smile. Okay, next we have the City of Goldsboro Supervisor of the Quarter Award, fourth quarter fiscal year 24-25, and this is being awarded to Rick Davis for outstanding achievement. I am proud to nominate Rick Davis for Supervisor of the Quarter in recognition of his outstanding leadership, dedication to safety, and commitment to team development at the water treatment plant. Rick consistently goes above and beyond to improve our work environment. He promptly addressed safety concerns by securing 2 new eye wash stations, ensuring the well-being of all employees. He also led the successful digitization of our safety data sheets, greatly enhancing accessibility and modernizing our safety practices. In addition to safety leadership, Rick has taken charge of several major maintenance projects, including the team guiding the team hands-on while mentoring junior staff along the way. He has also secured a more strategic location for our safety equipment, improving accessibility and protection of essential gear. Rick's proactive approach, problem-solving skills, and focus on team growth make him an invaluable leader. I strongly recommend him for this recognition as a reflection of the high standards and commitment he brings to our facility every day. Rick's work ethic and accomplishments reflect well on himself and the City of Goldsboro. Awarded this day, August 4th, 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know his supervisor wants to say something, and he's looking in his eyes. He said, "You're going to let me say something, right?" Of course. Anybody else want to comment too?
Since you nominated him, go ahead.
I don't know what to say. But Rick and Brian charged me with like monitoring safety stuff at the water treatment plant, and as a former EMT, I'm sure that gets on their nerves sometimes because I can just see the things that could be a safety problem or could get someone hurt. But every time I come to him and say, "Hey, I see this problem," he's quick to help me solve it or fix it or go around it. So the last few months we've been working really hard on some stuff, and I couldn't have done it without him. So that's why I thought he should be given this award.
This is an example of the leadership that we have in public utilities. We have a lot of young staff in our group, and with the leadership that Rick brings, a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill goes into just a daily operation. So safety's one. We just went through hurricane preparedness. All the folks did not know some of the things that we actually do during that time to make them safe. So well deserved. Thank you, Rick, for everything you do.
While Mr. Livingston retakes his seat, I'll just simply opine that I cannot think of two better representations of what our city has to have and what it has to do. You have to be able to give people the tools to do their job, even though some of those tools have a few years on the engines and on the frames. And also, if you want to show your employees that you care, it's a culture. It's a culture of doing safety things the right way to show people that you care about them going home in one piece. And doing it the right way, making sure that you have MSDs, that you have standard operating procedures, that you have safety manuals, and your PPE is in order, shows your employees that you care about them as people, not just as employees. And so I absolutely endorse those decisions, and I'm so grateful that we chose to highlight the folks that we did. So thank you. Next, we'll move to item 4.2. ABC Check Commission is Mr. There he is. If you'll come forward, and we'll move. Actually, Mr. Livingston, if you have any intro on this one.
No, sir, I do not.
Perfect.
We appreciate the check, though.
We do. Darnay, if you come on up. And I know there were a couple of things about ALE that you wanted to talk about as well, so thank you. It's very timely.
Like a few minutes for that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for having me again. I know y'all like to see me come. This year, or not this year, but on this distribution to the city, we're going to present $93,815 from the Wayne County ABC system. Check is signed, and I'll present it to you.
I'll come right around.
Mayor.
Thank you for trying to run a first-class operation.
Well, we're
all
trying.
the pieces that go along with that.
We are trying our best, believe me. The mayor asked me earlier to speak a few minutes on our law enforcement, so I'll take about 5 minutes and do that. A lot of people do not know we have a law enforcement unit at the Wayne County ABC. We have a chief, Jonathan Whitley, and we have 3 members under him that make up the team. What they do is they enforce all the ABC laws in North Carolina. That's their main focus and job. And in doing so, there are about 240 places in the county and the city of Goldsboro that they monitor and check and inspect. They try to do them numerous times a year. When they're checking them and doing them, they handle any violation that may occur, whether it be sale to minor, sale to intoxicated person, drugs, etc. They also offer help to the city of Goldsboro, their law enforcement, police department, which they work closely with. In fact, recently they've been working on several cases together. They also help the Wayne County Sheriff's Department in the same manner, anything they may have. Outside of that, they work closely with the North Carolina ABC Commission on violations that may occur and oversee that. And in the end, they also try to hold public presentations for the club and bar owners to train them in the laws. And believe me, the laws change every year. I'm working on a new one now, the omnibus bill. I don't know how far it'll go, but they stay on top of those laws and regulations. They do enjoy having the office open to anyone that wants to come by and see them. In fact, I'm going to give a number out tonight to our chief and our office so that anybody has any questions or complaints, they can file them, and they will be glad to work with them. That number is 919-778-7731. And again, if you'll ask for Chief Jonathan Whitley, he'll take care of you. But on behalf of the Wayne County ABC system and our law enforcement, I want you to know we're here to help the community. They're here for you. So take advantage of them and use them. That's what they're here for. And anybody who wants to come by and visit our office at the ABC board, we're more than welcome to have you. Mayor's been down, Councilman Boyette. We're hoping in the very near future to move some dirt out here on US 70 for the new store at Rosewood. If everything goes well, I'm hoping to make the final closings on that this week. And we also are looking forward to opening up a new warehouse and office complex over on Patetown Road at the Business Center Park. So there's a lot in the works right now. So, and that, once we get those operations going, it's only going to help the city of Goldsboro with more distributions. So, anyway, we're here for you all, and I appreciate your time.
Council, any comments or questions for our presenter? I just want to emphasize that obviously, we want there to be good quality selections. We want there to be good product available. The ALE piece of it, I think, is very important. We've had some, we certainly had some instances, and I want to encourage the public and I want to encourage those present to reach out if you believe that a place is breaking the law in the way that they're serving or using or whatever else, be it after hours, serving or illegal parties or whatever. Please report, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Oh, yeah. And so I really appreciate the work that your officers do, and obviously the teamwork with GPD as well.
And they also, I left this out, but they monitor those stores very closely, so we try not to have any trouble in our stores. We've also updated our stores in the last 2.5 years. And as you mentioned, more product. Yes, we have the newest and latest, greatest products out. And there's also a program for rehab and rehabilitation too that we have to give money to and promote that. So it's kind of a two-edged sword, Mr. Mayor. We sell on one hand and then we help people on the other hand. But it works out. It's been that way in our state for a long time. In fact, the ABC in North Carolina this year is celebrating its 90th anniversary. So our neighbor to our north here, Wilson County, came on 90 years ago as the first in the state, and we came in 1964 here in Wayne County. So it's been a while.
Sir, thank you for your support, and look forward to keep working with you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda, item 4.3, something that our city manager brought up as an idea, and I said I think that's a pretty fun one. Let's see if there's any objection to it, and I haven't heard any so far. So the city of Goldsboro, we have a proud military history. We also have a number of veterans that serve inside the city as employees. We have a Coast Guard veteran serving as our city manager. We have council members that are veterans of the United States Army. Of course, we're a host city of an Air Force base, and so we recommended that we just simply do simple proclamations on the birthdays of the individual armed forces, and I think that was just a fantastic idea. And so, Mr. Livingston, if you will, I'll begin item 4.3, a Coast Guard birthday proclamation. So, whereas the United States Coast Guard has a long and proud history of service to our nation, including in North Carolina from base Elizabeth City and other points along our coast. And whereas the U.S. Coast Guard is dedicated to saving lives at sea and enforcing the nation's maritime laws. And whereas the U.S. Coast Guard is one of the oldest organizations of the federal government, and until the Navy Department was established in 1798, it served as the nation's only armed force afloat. And whereas the U.S. Coast Guard was established on August 4th, 1790, when Congress authorized the formation of 10 vessels to enforce federal tariff and trade laws to prevent smuggling, until the establishment of the U.S. Navy in 1798, the Coast Guard also maintained maritime navigational aids, including the nation's lighthouses, and inspected and licensed ships. Whereas initially known as the Revenue Marine and Revenue Cutter Service, the name was changed in 1915 to the U.S. Coast Guard. And whereas the Coast Guard's 40,500 members ensure our nation's maritime safety and have served proudly in every one of our nation's conflicts. And whereas since 2003, the Coast Guard has operated as part of the Department of Homeland Security, serving as the nation's frontline agency for enforcing the nation's laws at sea, saving lives, protecting the marine environment, and guarding the nation's vast coastline and ports. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council does hereby proclaim August 4th, 2025 as United States Coast Guard Birthday in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and commend its observance to all citizens. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this the 4th day of August, 2025. Mr. Livingston, thank you for doing that, and thank you for your service in the Coast Guard.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next, we will move to item 4.4, which is a joint proclamation between the city and the county. And it is in recognition of Goldsboro and Wayne County Purple Heart recipients. It reads, Goldsboro Wayne Purple Heart Proclamation. Whereas the original Purple Heart, known as the Badge of Military Merit, is the oldest military decoration in the world in present use. And whereas the Purple Heart was established by General George Washington on August 7th, 1782, during the Revolutionary War, as the first award made available to the common soldier to recognize outstanding valor or merit. And whereas following nearly 150 years of disuse, the Purple Heart was reestablished by the President of the United States on February 22nd, 1932. And whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to military and civilian members of the U.S. Armed Forces who are wounded by an instrument of war in the hands of the enemy, and posthumously to the next of kin in the name of those who were killed in action or die from wounds received in action. And whereas the citizens of Goldsboro and Wayne County have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have served their country in the armed forces. And whereas veterans have paid the high price for freedom by leaving their families and communities and placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas many citizens of our city, county, and state have earned the Purple Heart as a result of being wounded while engaged in combat with enemy forces, construed as a singularly meritorious act of essential service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Goldsboro City Council and the Wayne County Board of Commissioners do hereby honor the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform, wounded or killed by the enemy, while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that jointly the Goldsboro City Council and the Wayne County Board of Commissioners commend the Board of Directors of the Goldsboro Wayne Purple Heart Foundation for honoring Purple Heart recipients at its annual banquet on August 2nd, 2025, as a special tribute to those service members who have received the Purple Heart and the families of Purple Heart recipients who are deceased. Witness our hand, the seals of the City of Goldsboro and the County of Wayne, Goldsboro, North Carolina, this the 4th day of August, 2025. And it has been signed by myself and Chairwoman Barbara Aycock of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. And Ms. Getz, do not let me walk away with this, as it needs to go to the commissioners for them to read it tomorrow. All right. Now, we will move to item number 5, a public comment period. Madam Clerk, if you would please collect the roster, and if anyone that intends to speak or desires to speak has not yet signed, please do so, and then we'll begin our public comment period. All right, seeing no one following Mrs. Getz, we'll assume the list is complete. If you'd please call out our first name.
Y'all know my name. We all know you know my name. I pray that it's the last time that I have to come before any one of y'all sitting up here about these same conditions that's been going on since I've been coming up here since 2022. What happened to Derek May was senseless. It should have never happened. Y'all talking about have the family went to the restaurant. Have y'all went to the restaurant and cited that restaurant to pay Evelyn May Truzies for the death of her 2 sons that she has lost. They were also dear to me. My father was killed in this case. This case is going on. Jamel Elwitz, Shabazz Woods, Tyrann Hart, and it's many more. You told me there's a video of Adriana Lewis and the suspect was standing on the side of the house. That same suspect assaulted me when I was 7 years old, sexually assaulted me, and I told y'all what he did. People from this case keep harassing me, these extra 41 defendants, y'all criminal informants. Where's that information you said, Mr. That he's your chief, but he's Mr. Mike to me? was getting ready to present for this council because, you know, Tamika Pridgeon is still somewhere back there on Aretha Street, and that's where Taj Polak said that she was at. After Taj Polak said Winter Goodson was blackmailing him about a human sex trafficking ring. And y'all seen all of this stuff. I need justice, and so does my people. The best two people that sits up here on this council is Councilwoman Brandy and Councilwoman Jamie. Keep them cats away from Miss Eleanor's house. They can do whatever they want to Miss Friend, because she ain't help us with Goldsboro Housing Authority anyway. If they want to go down there and harass Miss Friend, let them do it. But I want some justice, and I want it soon. Miss Donna Elliott, please go pick up your friend Nikki Bridges. We want justice for Frederick Maurice Stevens. She gave him rat poison for sleeping with Georgette. Y'all be blessed, there's too many people in here. My PTSD can keep me.
All right. Our next speaker is John Peacock.
Mayor Gaylor, members of the council, I'm John Peacock, address 202 North Slocum Street, Goldsboro. When I completed the application to be considered for the board of directors of DGDC, I knew it would involve work. I had seen the work, the collaborative work that the board had done with the city council, and the successful execution of the downtown master plan in years past, and the completion of streetscape, the hub, and the transit facility. A wonderful example of what leaders across the country call a perfect alignment of the three components necessary for ongoing economic success. Strong plan led by strong people, the elected body, staff leadership, and committed volunteers. Strong partnerships as well. Eliminate any one of those three and streetscape would not have occurred, but observe the communities with those three Ps and you'll find a pattern that will continue to see the return on investment and the expansion of the tax base that all communities want. Now, I know you're aware of the rigorous peer review process Main Street requires each year for communities to be accredited. The benchmarks for this 85-page review are rigorous, so rigorous, in fact, that 38% of the communities in North Carolina and 32% of the communities nationwide did not meet the benchmarks last year. Yet your downtown development team did, scoring in the high 90 percentile. And because of the hard-working group of volunteers and the incredible support of this council, we're able to see the value, the consistency of this partnership brings about. A consistency of purpose, a consistency of planning, a consistency in quality that's annually assessed through a rigorous process both nationally and on the state level. And all of that, members of the council, translates into the bottom line, the consistency and the quantifiable return on investment that this community has realized now for over a decade in our downtown. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charles Wright.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, Councilwoman, Councilmen. My name is Charles Wright. I keep saying I'm not going to come back to this podium, and I always make my way back over about 30 years. I would like to start off by congratulating Miss Brandy, Councilwoman Brandy Matthews, who was appointed the Director of the NCBEMO Board of Directors here recently, and I think that shows her leadership, and she should be applauded for that. Second, I'd like to go into my speaking points I want to bring forward. One has to do with the new initiative you acted called the Elevate Goldsboro Comprehensive Plan. I have a couple of questions on that. One, it seems to be divided into 7 different groups of people that can vote on what we want in Goldsboro. I mean, everybody, including people who visit Goldsboro often, has just a 14.20% part of choosing as I do. As a citizen of Goldsboro, worked in Goldsboro, lived in Goldsboro, pay taxes in Goldsboro. I just think, but I do have questions on who established this survey that we ask. We always get things second-handed, so here's something, but I never know who established that survey. I'd like to know that. And some of this information, demographics that they have on here, is already out there in public information. But it is a good survey as far as it goes, but I do want to bring that. And the second point, you're going to have a second page that says Goldsboro initiatives and outcomes over 30 years. I'd just like the council to look through that and see how many initiatives and things that we said we was going to do. And if you look on the right-hand corner, we didn't do it. And that's, I don't expect any of you to know what happened over the last 30 years. I wouldn't remember most of that myself. But I was before this body bringing up some of these subjects, right before you, well, not you, but the city council of that time bringing up these issues. So that's why. And I thank you for giving me a reminder now. And I just want to end by saying some of the things you can do to help elevate Goldsboro. There's two that I want to share with you specifically. One is fireworks. We managed to have the two smallest towns in Goldsboro, Seven Springs and Pikesville, to have fireworks. And the next thing we should do is encourage people coming before the city council and extending the time, and not put a rush signal and like you want to get rid of people real quickly.
I've got to hold you to the time.
Of course you do.
Yeah, just like everybody.
But I just want to show you how quick 3 minutes can go standing up here. And you used about 6 reading a proclamation.
I did.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time. And we will be in touch regarding your questions.
That was our final speaker.
Okay. All right. Mr. Livingston, if you would please, we'll move to item 6. If you please present and receive any remaining questions that are on the consent agenda items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. We have 6 items on the consent agenda. 2 of them are setting public hearings for future annexations. One of them is a resolution to authorize me to sign documents on behalf of our Tiger grant to keep that updated and close that project out. Another one is NC Class B Distribution Center. We're taking over as the ORC for the base. We will be getting compensated for that. And the other ones are budget amendments and minutes. So I'll entertain any questions that the council may have.
All right, Councilor, any remaining questions about items 6.1 through 6.6 in the consent agenda? Hearing none, will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I make a motion we approve as presented.
All right, motion has been made by Councilwoman Weeks. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Councilwoman Taylor seconds. Is there any further debate? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. Madam Clerk, would you like to do electronic vote? There we go. Hold on, it's registering this a vote for a public comment period.
I just voted.
I was in favor of the public comment period. All right.
On a Monday.
Oh, yeah. Would you like us just back out of that one and then you set up a second vote? Perfect. All right. All right. So, please, Council, if you'd please register your vote. This counts as a roll call vote since it's clearly listing everybody out. Tap and then click Save. And then, Ms. Getz, if you would please read the results when they're transmitted.
Pass it 7-0.
Thank you. The consent agenda is approved on a 7-0 vote.
I believe the consent agenda, you still need to do a roll call.
Okay, even though that's...
Even though that's like that, John, I believe so.
All right.
I'll look at it, research it to be sure, but rather tonight, let's go ahead and do it.
Okay.
So it's on the record, and then we'll make sure the next time, okay?
Understood.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you would please conduct a roll call vote.
Mayor Gaylor.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Yes.
Councilman Boyette.
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor.
Yes.
Councilwoman Weeks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Matthews.
Yes.
Councilman White.
Yes. All right. Motion passes on a 7-0 vote. Appreciate that one. All right. Let's move to section 7. Now we'll move to item 7.1, our consolidated plan and our annual action plan. Mr. Livingston, if you'd please get us started.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Crystal here that's going to give us an update and introduce our consultants to go over the consolidated plan and the annual action plan. Crystal, if you will.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
Waiting for our consultant to pop up. Here he is. So we're just going to do just a brief introduction of Mr. Wright. He's from our consultant group, Chrysalis Consultants out of Atlanta, Georgia, and they've been helping us formulate our 5-year consolidated plan and our current year annual action plan for HUD. And he's just going to go over a few brief key points for our plan for your approval.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Council members. My name is Jason Wright, and this is the second time I've had the pleasure of meeting you. The first time we went over our consolidated plan, we just kind of went over the overviews of what the consolidated plan is used for, the purpose, and the functionality. This time, we're going to go over some of the findings and just kind of go over the details that HUD expects us to cover in order to maintain our funding. As I understand, you have a copy of the presentation with you, and so we're just going to quickly go over this information and just tell you how we decided to go about how the numbers and the analysts decided to kind of go over or how the funds will be allocated. So kind of quick recap, the consolidated plan, the purpose of it is to kind of outline the spending CDBG Community Development Block Grant funding for the city of Goldsboro. And usually the funds are allocated along the lines of either housing, public infrastructure, business development, and economic, those typically those three. What we found, we can go ahead to slide 2, is a federal requirement, and we have to have this to maintain the funding. There's really no way to get around it. Even though HUD has kind of gone through a lot of changes the last few years, this is a mainstay. This is something that we must do in order to maintain the funding. Slide 3, like I said, community development, affordable housing, public services is another allocation format that's typically kind of go for all. Anything that we really can't put in the community and the affordable housing or in the business development, public service usually kind of covers that. The next slide. What we're looking for when we're going to allocate the funds is community investments, increasing access to affordable housing, improving public infrastructure, and increase to, as I said, to affordable housing and renovation, also in new affordable housing. The affordable housing issue is not just something that's at the locale of Goldsboro. It's something that's kind of countrywide. We have clients all over the country, and we're seeing is a pattern of housing. The pricing has increased dramatically since the end of COVID. Also, something that we need to make clear is that if you do happen to look at the consolidated plan, the data sets that we have don't exceed past 2020. And the reason why, because HUD has put a cap on data that exceeds 2020. I'm not exactly sure why they do that. I've heard a few reasons why, but if you see data that doesn't exceed, or you want to know why we're not using the most recent data, that's the reason why. Slide 5. We kind of going over the uses for federal grant development and additional funding opportunities, local revenue streams. Okay, so go ahead, go to slide 6. So what the primary goal of the funding is to benefit individuals or families who are in the low to moderate income to extremely low income category. That is the essential goal that HUD has set out. The funds are supposed to be allocated in neighborhoods where 50%, 51%, or over 50% of individuals are below the poverty threshold. However, there is a little leeway if the funds are allocated along the lines that benefit that community. It does not have to actually, the funds don't actually have to be allocated directly into that community. On slide 6, we have housing, and it says Goldsboro's population declined from approximately 36,000 in 2009 to 33,000. One of the reasons why that is important because your funding is kind of based on the population of the area. So we have to always keep a close eye on that to make sure if there are alterations to the funding. A lot of times it's based on population size, and it's based on basically how much the funds are allocated the previous term. Housing availability. Goldsboro total housing was increased modestly from 15,800 in 2009 to 16,573 in 2020. Like I said, we have caps on 2020 data. Overall growth of 4.9%, reflecting a limited new housing development relative to demand. Well, considering that there is a shortage of housing all the way around, and certainly a shortage of affordable housing, this can be viewed as a concern. And even though the funds have multi-usage, housing is typically where we look to resolve the issues with the CDBG funding. Cost of housing, this is a big one. Between 2009 and 2020, the median home value in Goldsboro rose from approximately $117,000 to $137,000, an increase of about 17.1%. Now, you see that number and think that is drastic, and it is. It's certainly a big increase. However, these numbers are comparable to the rest of the country, where we've seen actually increases within the same time frame of up to 50%. I think in some areas I've seen up to 75%. The reason why I mention that is because even though this is a problem and it's something that has to be dealt with, but what I'm saying is that it's not, like I said, it's not just to this specific area. Public infrastructure, the funds can be used to maintain public infrastructure, typically in terms of roads and just parks. It really is kind of come by, on the basis of what needs to be done at that time. Poverty, employment recovery, homelessness, these issues, especially employment recovery, are typically thrown into public service. Where we have, let's see, the poverty between 2009 and 2020, Goldsboro poverty rate remained persistently high, decreasing slightly from approximately 26.3 to 25.6. That does show some benefit. Of course, there's still room to improve. And homelessness, this is another one that we're seeing kind of rise throughout the country, and Goldsboro is no exception. Between 2009 and 2020, the number of individuals experiencing homelessness in Goldsboro increased slightly from approximately 128 to 112, which actually does show a little more increase, a little more benefit. Slide 7. Who is supposed to access the quality of housing availability? Well, we call these individuals, I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with Carlsberg individuals. Between 2009 and 2020, the share of Carlsberg households in Goldsboro, those spending more than 30% of their housing income remained high, with approximately 47% of renters and 31% of homeowners affected in 2020. Yeah, that's a little bit, certainly those numbers, there's certainly work to do. And like I said, these are some of the issues the funds are supposed to try to alleviate. Housing quality, this is another one that was really expanded on when we were talking to some of the stakeholders. Between 2009 and 2020, the shares of housing units in Goldsboro lacking complete plumbing or kitchen facilities declined only slightly from approximately 2.6 to 2.3. Now, HUD over time changes what emphasis it puts on certain things. One of the things that is really starting to put a really tight eye on is housing quality. I suppose at this point, depending on the city, they kind of feel like and I hate to kind of speak on behalf of HUD, but I have to do in this situation, that should not be an issue. And we still see housing issues within the area. One of the telltale signs of when a city is lacking affordable housing or housing in general is vacancy rates. Between 2009 and 2020, Goldsboro housing vacancy rates decreased from 12.5 to 9.8. This is when you start seeing numbers drop for 5% when it comes to vacancy rates. That is when you certainly know that there is not enough housing availability in the area. Goldsboro is dropping, is not there yet, so we're not in panic mode, but we're heading in that direction. Median household income. This, of course, is very important because this is how we define which areas are falling below the threshold, the poverty threshold. The median household income in Goldsboro varies significantly by census tract information. Typically, when you come to HUD, they don't really go by zip codes or area codes. They usually use census tract information. Concentrating in the city's west, central, southern areas. In contrast, the higher income tracts areas, 001102, reports median incomes exceeding 50,000, highlights stark income inequality across the city. Because of recent agendas pushed out by HUD, housing inequality or income inequality is another big issue they're really kind of scrutinized. And the reason why I bring this up is because funding a lot of times depends on any benefits or any traction we sow in these areas. So we look at the last plan, if this is an issue, and we look at the next plan, it's an issue. Funding may be altered based on how much of these issues are actually resolved. Now we know that nothing is going to resolve most of the time if you look at a 5-year span. However, what is the goal here is to show progression over that time frame. Slide 9, poverty distribution across Goldsboro. Poverty in Goldsboro is highly concentrated in the central and southern census tract. And one thing when we do this, we're not telling you anything you don't know. You know these, you're the city council, you know these cities better than we do, but however, this is the process, and we have to be thorough to make sure, for one, that the plan is an accurate reflection of the current status of the city of Goldsboro, and more or less that HUD does accept it without having any problems or any additional audits. Okay. On slide 11, CDBG and home funds investment in Goldsboro. So this is where we start getting down to how we decide to go about allocating the funds. Once we do the stakeholder engagement, once we've looked over the numbers, once we've interacted with a lot of a huge percentage of the public, we had online anonymous surveys. How did we go about allocating the funds effectively and that could do the most good? And we decided, you can go to slide 13, you can see the allocation amounts. Of course, administration is something that has to be done. Housing, we have housing rehabilitation. That's a big one, and the reason why is because Goldsboro does have a significant amount of housing that structurally is still usable. However, it does kind of lack some of the key elements to be, it could be actual prime habitat. So housing rehabilitation, 150,000. Public services, is what I'm saying. The funds are allocated among homelessness and other issues that usually kind of fall in the realm of social science. Project delivery, 20,000. Public improvement infrastructure, 50,000. Neighborhood stabilization, 109. Of course, administration. Down payment assistance, this is actually very good. What we see across the country most of the time is that the more people, and I'm pretty sure you're probably aware of this, who own homes, typically the better they upkeep the neighborhood. And so having a down payment assistance allocation does bring a lot of individuals who are looking to set roots, and now this is a way that they could possibly purchase a home. So this is kind of what we have in terms of the allocation. I think this is the best way we should go about doing it, how the funds should be distributed. As always just a lack of funds to resolve most of these issues. But what we did the best with what we had, and I think that given what we saw, this is the best strategy. So I'm going to stop talking right now and see if I have any questions.
Crystal, would you like to come up? Are there any comments that you wanted to put on the table? Before I just open it up for questions, I just wanted to make sure that you also had an opportunity to speak if there were any clarifying points that you wanted to make.
Sure. I think Jason really touched on them mostly. I will just touch on the census tract piece. Of course, when you're getting into numbers, it gets a little confusing. So just primarily with those census tracts, they're over District 1, 3, and some of 4. So of course, we're not just gonna just only put money into those census tracts, but they are some that we need to look at heavily. So if you had any questions, of course, concerning that, I know sometimes that's a point of contention as to why we're looking at those districts or census tracts.
So I'll ask a question. I think that the down payment assistance and the rehabilitation funds is phenomenal. I do find it somewhat ironic that some of the largest investments that the city has made have been part of our Main Street program, have been things that I think are very, very important. How would you recommend, and if this is not phrased correctly, then help me, how can we help leverage those investments, those past investments, to be able to help get some of that splash effect and increase things around that? Obviously you could ask the exact same question for like Slocum Street corridor and so many other options, but places where there have already been critical investments, how do we help leverage some of these funds to start really making some impacts in these census tracts?
That's a great question. I think we're forging the way doing it just by investing in affordable housing. One large project, and of course the city managers and all that can speak to that, is of course investing in Manor Heights, which is going to be a huge project, a huge impact in that area. Of course, another upcoming project that we're investing in is affordable housing for, of course, rental housing with At the Crossing. So just investing in large projects and individual homes as well, we're making impact everywhere.
I think the two that you just mentioned are two that really stand the chance to kind of spread some things out.
Yes.
I think could be really positive.
Mm-hmm.
Council comments, questions for anyone? Yes,
I have a
Madam
question.
President.
I don't know if I missed it or not.
Sure.
I had some concerns about the individuals that receive money to redo their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need funds to move out while their homes are being taken care of. Where and how does that fund, where does that money come from? How, and I know the director sent me some information on it, and I thank you so much for it. But I'm still trying to advocate for those individuals in my district that got the money and they're excited about their homes being renovated, but then they don't have the funds to go somewhere else to live until their house is complete. How and where do we get the funds, and how does that work?
So that's a fair question. So honestly, we don't adopt a relocation policy only because it's such a massive amount of money. It was, of course, a tough choice for us, but we feel like using those relocation funds, we can help more families. So, we present it to whomever gets the funds like, hey, we will invest this to help you renovate your home, but if you have to relocate, let's make a plan for you to, of course, cover that on your own, because with those expenses, we can help another family. And it's not to be insensitive, but it's to maximize those funds.
Council, anyone else?
I do have a question, sir.
Yes, Councilman.
This is a question. I'm looking here. It says housing rehabilitation. Do we use all those funds, and if not, can we reallocate those into another pot of money?
So, honestly, Councilman White, we can, but honestly, that's probably not even enough to cover. We have a massive wait list. But if we don't use them, yes, we can reallocate those funds.
You're doing an amendment to the annual action plan, but yes, those funds can be allocated someplace else.
Has there been any to that point? has there been unallocated funds in previous years from housing rehabilitation or down payment assistance?
Not since I've been here. But if those funds are needed, we can move them.
Right.
I know that we've moved most of our CDBG funds into, of course, one large project with McNair. And what's left over, we've been trying to do rehab with it.
Gotcha.
And just to speak to the McNair project, could you tell me the price point of those houses?
I don't have the information with me. That would be, of course, Habitat for Humanity sets those prices. But we can say that we have set a number of houses aside that will be only for low to moderate income individuals. But we can get back to you directly with that.
I definitely understand what you're saying about, in response to Mayor Pro Tem Jones' question about maximizing the funds. But for someone in that district, even $1,000 of relocating to a hotel or whatever could be a huge financial burden for them. Could we not look at maybe, even if it's $1,000 stipend to help them relocate, because that's just a huge financial burden for someone having to uproot, for weeks, even months at a time.
That's true. Right now, it's not in our policy, so it's not one that we've adopted. Just speaking to our HUD reps and on their advice, we really don't have the funds to cover it. They suggested maybe council, reallocate some funds if they want to support that initiative. But of course, we can look at changing it if you all want to.
And one thing we always have to consider when we write these plans is that even though we actually show it and present it to the city council and we want you to adopt the plan, we have to make sure that HUD accepts the plan. And that can be kind of tricky sometimes.
So is there, obviously there's been some sentiment expressed from council that we would be interested in seeing what a relocation policy could look like. Okay. I want to make sure that I just heard our consultant correctly. Are relocation policies in any way looked at sideways by HUD, or is it just something that you have to figure out very carefully?
It's something we have to figure out pretty carefully. A lot of times when you start to allocate funds, that's not directly tied to the initiatives of housing, even though we're talking about housing, but we're housing, economic empowerment, public service. Once you start getting outside that purview, they can start scrutinizing a little bit like, hey, I don't know about that. Maybe, you might want, that's something we just have to consider. Now, I believe in asking. I'm not, I would say this is not something we shouldn't do. But before you start going anywhere, you might want to kind of knock on the door and say, listen, this is something that we're considering. What do you think? So, but that's kind of something that should be had over you guys' end. But yeah, that's typically how we do. Just kind of knock on the door, just ask them what they think about it before any action.
So then, what is the deadline? We need you need a con plan by a certain date. Where are we?
Yeah, ideally we need a vote on it tonight, so we can make sure we safely get it in before the 15th.
Okay, can we?
There is no.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but if you want to pursue that policy, there's no reason why we can't adopt this and separately come back and amend the policy.
That was the exact next question.
That was the next thing.
We can. Perfect.
And of course and I do want to, just be fair that we have spoken to HUD about it, but of course it's our decision. So they've advised us, but of course we can go back and say, hey, yes, we want to do this, and we come back with a policy, and it won't affect our comp plan.
Well, if we, not to get down in the weeds, but if we could, say something, a relocation package not to exceed, 2% of total rehab costs, something to be able to at least tie it directly so that it's kind of a permanent thing. Council, just kind of give me a head nod, am I picking up that council would like to see at least a policy proposed? Yes. So I think you have some direction from council. We'd like to see a policy. Okay. That being said, we do need to take a look at approving this tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. The exact document, and then I'll come back to ask for additional questions. So I want to make sure that I'm asking the right question. The plan itself is the PowerPoint slides, or is it the larger document?
It's the larger document.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And council, just to be very, very clear, as soon as I can pull it up, I'll make sure that everyone knows what that is. That con plan was distributed to council Mr. Livingston, help me out on this one. I see the agenda memo, and I
Yeah.
see it's not attached in this particular business item, but it was in the May one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been on. We've been having it under a 30-day public review.
Exactly. All right. So with that, and this is specifically the con plan, we'll discuss the annual action plan in just a minute, right? Or
Yes,
is
well,
this-
it's all together.
Okay, so we can
Mhm.
vote once?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So then, council, everyone has had opportunity to review the document. It's not attached with this particular board packet, but it was the one in May, and it's been out for public dissemination. Are there any remaining comments or questions on the consolidated plan and annual action plan? Yes, ma'am, and then yes, sir.
Not to include what we were talking about the rehab, right?
Correct. We would need to vote on what is presented, but I think we've all expressed interest that we would like to see what a policy could look like. And so if they're able to produce that, then we could amend the plan.
Yeah, but we can amend and bring policies back at any point.
I was just wondering because I had a question about the rehab. So.
Sure. All right. The rehab piece that was covered in the PowerPoint presentation would be part of it, just not the relocation assistance piece. So if you do have any additional questions on the rehab part, right, please go ahead.
So what is the average rehab cost for this round of rehabs that we've signed the contracts for?
The average would be between 30 and 50, 30,000 to 50,000.
One of the challenges that we have with the rehab, and it's nationwide, is finding contractors,
Yes.
Because it's not, big ticket items a lot of times. So it's a little bit challenging. Just thought I'd throw that out, but we're getting it done. It just a challenge.
And so what we do is that we have a trusted contractor that goes out. He's the same one, Mr. Duncan. He does them for the city of Raleigh as well. He goes out to the homes, examines them, gives us like a write-up and what he suggests we should do based on what we can cover with HUD funds, and we review it from there.
Ms. Taylor, any additional questions?
No, she answered my question. My other comments will be for later.
All right, perfect. Council?
Just procedural question. So
Sure.
if the consensus was to look at taking 2% up to 2% of that figure, which $30,000 to $50,000 would take the figure 600 to 1,000 from the 30 to 50 at 2%, I think. Are we talking about just diverting a portion of the awarded money to go to that, and HUD being okay with that, or are we, or is the council saying we want to figure out a way to additionally fund beyond that for that purpose?
And I just made up the 2%, just throwing out a proposal. But I don't want that, to be part of y'all's guardrails. I want y'all to come up with a policy that makes sense. So just on that. But then Councilman Boyer's question.
But that's a good question. I mean, it would be up to you all whether or not you're going to use general funds to supplement, or if you want us to use the HUD funds that we're awarding.
Okay.
What would be the HUD best practice? Come back to us with a policy once. We don't want to put you on the spot. Come back to us with a policy that you've seen work in other jurisdictions, and we'll have a conversation. Let's don't overcomplicate the rabbit hole of hypotheticals. All right. Yes, sir.
And that was the basis for that thought process. If we already have the funds, and it's just a matter of how we're going to allocate it, then yeah, there's no need to look at something that's going to affect the general fund, because we're using the money that's already there.
So am I clear, we're gonna vote on that later, reallocating the money? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, council, our Goldsboro Consolidated Plan has been briefed back to us. It is the plan that was presented in full and has been available on our website now for, I guess, a month since May. Yeah. So, council, are there just last call? Are there any remaining questions on the comp plan? Hearing none, we'll call a vote. Mrs. Getz, if you
we need a motion.
I know, I'm getting there. I was just letting her know that we were about to do it so she can start typing on her side. So with that, council, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consolidated plan and the annual action plan as presented.
I make a motion, we approve it.
All right, motion's been made.
Second.
And motion has been seconded to approve. Is there any further debate? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor, please vote electronically. And then Ms. Getz, please confirm when the vote is tallied. Motion is passed 7-0. The con plan and annual action plan have been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your
We
work
will
on that.
bring back a recommended policy as soon as possible.
That sounds good.
Hopefully the next meeting.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now let's move to item, after I clear that out, after I clear that one out, let's move to item 7.2. Council, as discussed before, item 7.2 has been presented a couple of times in the past. This is still the draft from April. It is a vote is not requested this evening, but we do want to be able to move this forward as we've approved. Of course, our budget, and we have expectations, and the organization has its budget and its expectations. So we want to make sure that the document is approved. I would like to be able to vote on it at the second meeting in August, but I want to go through a brief, get it back on the forefront of everybody's mind so that we know what we're talking about, and then we'll talk about any textual changes if there are specific lines or specific verbiage that we would like to do differently. So with that, Mr. Livingston, I'll turn this one over to you if you'd please guide us through 7.2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think at this point in time, like you said, we've had it before us, and I'd like for the DGDC executive director to come and explain some of the provisions of it, or just talk generally about the proposed memorandum.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can y'all hear me okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for having me tonight and allowing me to bring back the MOU between the City of Goldsboro and the Downtown Goldsboro Development Corporation. This outlines our structure as a quasi-Main Street community, and it, I feel, is very comprehensive as an agreement. It mimics language from our annual agreement that we have had every year since we've been an accredited Main Street community. And we also used a template from North Carolina Main Street. North Carolina Main Street manages the program at a state level and is governed by the Department of Commerce. So it's had a lot of eyes on it. The DGDC board has reviewed it extensively and feel that it's ready to go. I believe the manager has shared it with council since it was first brought to you all on March 17th with limited feedback. So my goal tonight is just to give you a high-level brief and overview of our structure and reminder of who we are, why we're structured the way that we are, and the successes that we have experienced as a quasi-Main Street community. So the City of Goldsboro's downtown development effort, as you know, is a partnership between the city's downtown development department and the nonprofit arm, the DGDC, Downtown Goldsboro Development Corporation. Together we form Goldsboro's Main Street community, and we have shared goals. So because we are a partnership entity, we have shared mission, vision, values, goals. That allows us to create more capacity and deliver more return on the city's investment and the volunteers' investment in the program. So just to name a few, those shared goals are protecting and enhancing our assets, promoting quality of life, encouraging property investment, and supporting small business development, as well as several others. And I shared with you a handout previously, which is our Main Street report, and it has a great outline of all those things. If you'd like to learn more, I can share that with you once again. So what is Main Street? Main Street utilizes an approach to preservation-based economic development to drive growth in over 1,200 active historic downtowns across the country. So they're downtowns like ours. They have less than 50,000 in population, and they have a desire to revitalize their downtowns. Using the Main Street approach, Goldsboro's partnership has spurred a significant amount of economic development, which is what it's all about, resulting in more than $89 million in public and private investment, 213 building renovations, 603 net new jobs, and 97 net new businesses, and that's all just in the last 12 years. In the history of our Main Street community, we've seen almost $100 million in public and private investment. So it's clearly a proven methodology that works. The Downtown Development Department has a staff of 3, of course, and we are supported by the DGDC's hardworking board of 24 volunteer members. They represent a diverse group of local community leaders, which includes you all, At the city, we've got Mayor Pro Tem Jones, and we have the city manager serving on the board. We also have Chairwoman Barbara Aycock serving. Then we have representation from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, the Chamber of Commerce, and a number of other entities. In addition to that, we have a consistent volunteer base of about 50 that make up the committee structure. So in addition to the board, there are 4 volunteer committees that include economic vitality, promotions, merchants, and design. I knew I was going to forget one. The board and the committees add capacity to the city's resources and work alongside us as staff, the downtown development staff. So currently the nonprofit arm has dedicated, which I think this is a very impressive number, so we talk about adding capacity. They have dedicated 34,501 volunteer hours to help us carry out the downtown development initiatives. That equals a value of $904,169 that directly saves in what we could be spending to carry out the initiatives and improve our downtown. Goldsboro's Main Street, actually, I think I have a number of board members and volunteers in the room, so if you all will stand, I'd love to recognize you for your efforts as well. So, wow. Thank you. It's an impressive bunch, and I'm pleased to work alongside each of them. Goldsboro's Main Street program has held both state and national accreditation. At the state level, we've held our accreditation for 41 years. At a national level, for over 20 years, as long as we've been able to get accreditation at the national level. And as John Peacock spoke to earlier, each program requires a very high standard of work. And they assess Goldsboro's Main Street program just as they assess any other Main Street program. And sadly, as he mentioned earlier, the number of state accredited programs have dropped to what they call affiliate programs. So they're still following the Main Street methodology, but they're not meeting all of the benchmarks that they require to be accredited. So that number has reduced at a state level by 36% and a national level by 32%. So they really are paying attention to what we're doing and how well we're doing it. So some of those benchmarks include broad-based community commitment, so all of you being committed to the downtown development effort and all of our stakeholders and citizens. Inclusive leadership, sustainable funding, strategy-driven programming, preservation-based economic development, and of course, demonstrated impact. We are required to submit annual statistics. We just did that last week, so I'm glad to check that off. So twice a year, we are assessed by the state and the national Main Street with our statistics in the summertime, and then in January, we have our assessment process. Goldsboro has successfully demonstrated a high standard with consistently positive feedback from NC Main Street and National Main Street program leaders each year. And mayor and manager, you can attest to that because we had a representative here just a couple weeks ago just singing the praises of the organization. Upon completion of the annual assessment process, of course, an annual Main Street agreement document, which is in your packets as well, is presented to the program director and the city manager for signature. This agreement outlines the requirements and expectations of both parties as a quasi-public-private partnership and as an accredited Main Street program. That's the basis of the MOU that we have before you. So just to reiterate, we have followed this process since we became a Main Street community 41 years ago. While we did not have this MOU document in place, we have been assessed on an annual basis and sign an agreement collectively that say, we honor this program, we're going to follow the protocol, we're going to follow the steps and meet all the benchmarks. So we have had that in place. I think an MOU is a great best practice tool, and I'm excited to get this on paper in front of you. But ultimately, it outlines what we're already doing and how we're doing it successfully as a quasi-partnership. That's what it is. It's truly a partnership between two entities that help just create a stronger downtown development effort together. So as a reminder, the Downtown Development Department has been a department of the city since 1993, when it was created by the city of Goldsboro to form this quasi-public-private partnership. And that was done with the existing DGDC, which was formed in 1977 at the behest of the city to manage the downtown development effort. The two entities have worked successfully together for more than 30 years, carrying out our downtown development efforts and following the Main Street approach, an approach that prompts us, the DGDC, and the Downtown Development Department to work together as we have done for 32 years and will continue to do well into the future. So the bottom line is that together we spur economic development through investment, initiatives, and programming that enhance the vitality and sustainability of downtown Goldsboro. Our partnership extends the capacity of both parties, leading to maximum growth and impact. So as John shared before, it's all about consistency. Consistency in purpose and consistently delivering the return on investment that we promise to do collectively together. That consistency in return and investment is absolutely needed to continue to grow our downtown. So that's all I have. Thank you.
So, Council, are there any questions on the structure before we ask if there are any text changes, or any comments or questions on the overall structure of how downtown development operates? All right, hearing none, are there any comments or questions about the MOU as currently presented? Hearing none, what I would like for us to do...
I have some questions.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I have a few things that I would like to recommend to the council. First of all, in the verbiage for the MOU, most MOUs that I have with government officials or entities or other nonprofits are only from 12 to 18 months. This MOU has us committing for 5 years. I'd like to see the council recommend a lower tenure than 5 years. Our term is only 4 years. So I would recommend 12 to 18 months, and that we actually evaluate that at the end of the tenure, the 12 to 18 months. Also, looking at the verbiage, if we're a quasi-partnership, then I'd like to see it in the MOU that we will have oversight of the financials for the actual nonprofit. I'd like to see a minimum of an annual financial report showing us their financials from their budget to their actual, because our goal, one of our goals should be for a nonprofit to have sustainability. And so I'd like for us to have some financial reporting verbiage put into the MOU so that we can review that, whether it's with you, Ms. Aaron, or with your director on an annual basis. Also, we do not have it written anywhere what our in-kind gifts are with them. I'd like to find out what our in-kind gifts are. When I got with the financial director, she said we have never had any kind of reporting as far as financial gifts. I believe it's a quasi-partnership, so that's almost a requirement that we have those in-kind gifts documented. My recommendation would be that we as a council actually bill for the services, even if we're going to count it as an in-kind gift, because smart business is we need to know what we have in an investment with a nonprofit. And so I would like to see the services be billable, even if you guys decide to make it an in-kind gift, so that we can know what is our actual investment.
All right. Just taking notes. Good feedback. The pieces that are in kind, would that be like employee time? Is that kind of what you're thinking about?
It's going to be employee time, whether you're providing lawn care, any setup, any departments working. Do it as a billable service so that this council knows exactly what is our investment. Because if we can show sustainability of the nonprofit, then we can take, let's say, for instance, the $300,000 that we invest in salaries, those kind of things. I'd like to see us invest that money in other areas of our city, just instead of downtown, so that we can offer the same beautification, the same services in other areas of our city as well. But we don't know because we don't have any accurate numbers.
I think there's certainly some wisdom to looking at another MSD style program in other parts of the community if they would be willing to layer that on top of themselves. Councilman Weeks, any other comments?
You have anything else?
No, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, sir.
Oh no, I just want to make
No,
sure.
sir.
I just want to make sure that I was.
I thought you meant Councilwoman Weeks. Thank you. Any other
Well, and thank you, yes. Are there any other yes, sir?
I have no issues with changes being suggested, particularly if the DGDC and their board are okay with them. I think that the board is the driving force behind this because they're the ones giving us everything, and we're in a position to be fortunate enough to receive it. So yeah, I'm okay with whatever changes as long as the board was okay with it. I would defer to you guys to steer that ship. Regarding the financial oversight piece, we have representation on the board, so the financial oversight is there, in my opinion. I'm familiar with some other organizations with this similar partnership, and the financials are just not handed out. If you want to see financials in that regard, you have a member on that board that we appoint or establish on that board, in this case too, that get to see that. And if there was specific questions, I'm sure that someone would answer those questions. But particularly if it's the manager, and the manager was our representative on that board, I would rest just fine, because if there was an issue, he's going to know it, and if it's something we need to know, he's going to let us know. That's just my 2 cents on that. As long as I'm okay with changes, as long as you guys are okay with it.
And I think there's a way to accomplish both, because you've got the 990, you've got board representation, and having an annual opportunity for council members to go and have a sit down with the board chair on a set schedule that's already a defined, expected thing. I think there's ways to get there that can certainly check the boxes for everyone. I like it. Yes, sir.
I do have a question as far as audits are concerned. I do know that when we was dealing with a nonprofit that we was dealing with earlier, that was a requirement. Either they do a audit or their books be available to us as far as financials are concerned when I looked at that. So I just want to make sure that our processes and systems are the same for all nonprofits across the board.
Okay, now.
Yes, you go ahead.
Okay, but did you not say, and I haven't looked at all of them, I'm new to the board and I'm still learning, but we do get an annual statistics status report, and tell us just some of the things that's in that report,
in the statistics, we report on property investment, we report on total private investment, building rehabs, facade rehabs, business growth, business expansion, businesses lost, job growth, volunteer hours. There are a number of points that we report on an annual basis. And just a couple things to note. So
and that is given to us in our packet, correctly?
That I just completed on Thursday, but the impact report that I shared with you all last time I came has all that information from the previous year. We're going to do a new one of these now that we've completed our statistics this year. So that information is shared. We report on that. There is a tremendous amount of oversight, to your point, Councilman Boyette, from both the city, the county, and all the other entities that I mentioned. There's a tremendous amount of oversight on a monthly basis from our board, on a biannual basis from state and national level, on a weekly basis from my manager, Matt Livingston. There's already a tremendous amount of oversight. We, myself included, staff and the DGDC board have an open door policy, and I think you all know that. The DGDC Executive Committee invited every council member to come and sit down, voice any concerns they had about this document, and we didn't get any feedback that said textual changes is what we're looking for. So we were approached with a lot of support from you all, and I appreciate that. But we have an open door policy. We have notebooks on the shelf that have our minutes and our financials every month for the last 3 years. And I and the DGDC board welcome anyone to come in and take a look at those. So there's a significant amount of transparency all the time. In addition to that, I just want to speak to the comments about the nonprofit for a second. So just as a reminder, the DGDC solely exists to support the city. So while I understand the certain requirements of every other nonprofit that the city works with, that is largely because you're not working in lockstep with those organizations every single day. Where me serving as staff and my staff working alongside the nonprofit, we are working in lockstep. And the DGDC solely exists to support us as staff. They align themselves with the priorities set forth by you as council and us as the Downtown Development Department. So it is different in that way. I think quantifying absolutely makes sense. What are the hours that our staff, maybe not our staff, but other departments are putting into downtown development initiatives, which again, those initiatives are city initiatives. They are not the nonprofits initiatives because the nonprofits initiatives are ours, right? So I think by looking at this as two separate entities, it gets very complex and it's unnecessary. It is complex. Partnerships can be complex, but something being complex is not a reason not to do it. Something being challenging is not a reason not to do it. I am dedicated to it. My staff is dedicated to it. Our board is dedicated to it, and we have a proven track record of success in working in lockstep. So there are some significant differences in the DGDC and other nonprofits. And I'm happy, the board is happy to quantify efforts that go into downtown development. I just don't want to see any additional financial burden on the nonprofit. Every dollar that they raise goes back into downtown development initiatives. In fact, our operating budget for events, which includes buying tents, all operational supplies for events, and putting on events downtown through the MSD is only $25,000. The city's expenses the nonprofit's expenses for events is $66,000. So they're putting every dollar that they raise back into the initiatives to continue to help us improve quality of life downtown. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
If you would, yes, sir, and then I'll come back. Yes, sir, Councilman.
So by no means am I, questioning the contribution that you do to the city. By no means am I doing that.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm doing as this board is we're responsible for policies, processes, and procedures.
That's right.
So I just want to make sure that when another nonprofit comes up here, that we can articulate the argument, accurately, so that everybody's treated the same and be on the same playing field. Because truly enough, it's still a nonprofit, and we're gonna have to look at it under a nonprofit umbrella. Because that's what we do when we start to do things. So by no means am I questioning your success, because you have done marvelous things down here. By no means am I doing that.
It's we, right?
Well,
we.
I'm using you as you because you're the head of it right now.
Yes, sir.
Right? So all I'm saying is you did excellent work, but we have to ensure that there's policies and procedures in place.
Absolutely.
So that we can make sure that things are done right. That's what I'm asking for.
I appreciate that, and I think that's what this MOU is set out to accomplish, and it will accomplish. We collectively have worked on several other policies and procedures to help improve how things are done downtown. So I am here to continue to help with that. My only point in that statement was that I don't want any undue financial burden on the nonprofit because they are putting everything that they are, everything they have, everything that they represent into the city and our initiatives in downtown development.
All right, Tim had a question, and then Councilwoman Matthews.
Okay, I didn't necessarily have a question, but I wanted you to talk to us about the dual role, as your dual role. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. So that is not uncommon in a quasi-entity. As I stated before, the DGDC was created in 1977, so there was a board and executive director for that. And then the city's department was created in 1993. At that time, there was a joint decision to make my role a dual role. And actually, when you look at my job description, there are references to DGDC and the city. What that does is allow for continuous oversight of nonprofit activities to ensure that they align with the city. So my role as executive director of the nonprofit is not a voting role, but it is a guiding role. I don't have the ability to sign contracts without the full board's approval. So there's still checks and balances in place, but it keeps us both honoring our responsibility to work together. But it's not uncommon. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Aaron.
Hey.
So quick question. I'm not a hard no as the MOU is written right now. However, to Councilman Boyette's point about yielding it to the board as far as to include the things that Councilwoman Weeks have requested, is that a hard no for you and the board? Because just where I'm sitting, with all of the transparency and the opportunities that you have presented to us, it seems that that opportunity is already available. So putting it into the MOU doesn't seem like a hard sell. But I'm just wondering, where are you on that with including these things that she has requested? If the board, I don't particularly like the idea of just saying, y'all just tell us what to do. I like for us to work together in lockstep if that's really what we're doing. So where are you with including these things in the MOU as requested by Councilwoman Weeks?
I think you make a fair point that we are already doing a lot of these things and we're providing the information, maybe not publicly, but we are providing the information. But of course our 990 is available for anyone to go and look at. So it's not, I mean, it's hiding in plain sight, right? However, I do want to consult with the board and talk with them about how that information would be presented. I'm a little leery of making it an in-kind contribution because there's an exchange for that. However, if we are documenting, as I said before, exactly what goes into downtown development initiatives and we're quantifying that, we're already quantifying the volunteer hours and the financial commitment of the nonprofit. So we can put all that on paper. I've done a side-by-side of the budget. I think a lot of you have seen it, of the nonprofit and where we're spending our money, and the city and where we're spending our money as it relates to downtown development. So I don't think it's out of the question. I do want to talk to our accountant, our treasurer, and just see how they would like us to present the information, again, so it's not replacing or giving any undue financial burden to the board.
Yes, sir.
And this is kind of like off topic, but I don't think it's a hard ask for council members who sit on these boards to do maybe some reporting. So maybe that's something that can be not taxing on you guys per se, but if the board is interested in seeing the financials, even with your open door policy for us to come and see it, then maybe that's something the board needs to start doing, which I'm cool with that because we all sit on boards and we really don't know what's going on with the boards. So maybe that can be included in some of our responsibility to report those numbers and informations back if it's available. But again, I guess it's once you talk to the board and see about that. But
yeah, absolutely. And if you'll recall, every year I present to you all anyway on the work plan and our initiatives, our successes. I do that at least once a year. So I can certainly include some financial information with that as well.
If it's okay, knowing that we're not going to be voting on this evening, and I think we've got fantastic feedback that we can take back to the DGDC board, its accountants, and its leadership to be able to look and see what's the right way to be able to pencil these things together. Mr. Livingston, obviously you as manager, we would task you with doing that. Let's see if we can get some revisions, get a revised draft, get it back out to council. We'll have some conversations. If we're able to get a final draft, we'll have it, back on the agenda at the second meeting in August. Unless there's any other pressing questions and comments right now, I think I'd like to delegate this back over to Mr. Livingston for some final negotiations and some final text changes, and let's get this thing across the line at the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right?
That's fine, Mayor.
All right. So with that, thank you. Fantastic job. All the board members, thank you so much for being here to be able to hear this. That way, as you guys are having your conversations, you'll know where the room is, the temperature of the room, and help to make sure that we can get some right words on the page. So thank you all so much for your time this evening. So with that, we've been at this for about an hour and a half. How about we take a, what is it? By Apple, it's 3 after, but that is 5 after. How about at 7:10 Apple time, we come back, or we'll stand in recess for nature breaks until then. We'll reconvene at 7:10. bad.
I'll find out.
How many more minutes we got?
What?
We don't have any. It's
No.
7-11.
Yeah. All right. We are. No. We have about half a minute. It's only 7:09 Apple time. No, we're good. We're good.
I am trying to turn off all these devices.
That's all right. All right. So we're going to. Yeah. There we go. iPad says 7:10, and so does the watch. I'll tell you what. I've gone far too down the rabbit hole there. All right, everybody, let's move to Section 8, new business on our agenda. I appreciate everybody's time so far and allowing just a brief break right there. If Mr. Livingston, if you would please brief us on 8.1. Is Chief doing it?
No, I am.
Right on, perfect.
He asked for the night off, and so I accommodated him. Okay. Essentially what this is it's a sole source type of situation where we can't purchase anything because of this type of technology and what goes on with it only through this company. So we're asking because of that for a sort of a waiver of our normal policy and being able to purchase this because we can't competitively find it anywhere because of the sole sourcing issue. And, that's the gist of that situation.
Easy enough. So this one, I believe, probably could have been consent agenda, but I wanted council to be fully aware of exactly what work GPD was doing, trying to make sure that we're increasing our investigative capabilities. So with that, are there any questions for the manager about IBIS or about the resolution and the costs? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
So moved.
All right, motion has been made by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Councilman Boyette. Is there any debate? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. It is electronically on the screen. Please vote. And then, Ms. Getz, if you would please call out the results when they are tallied.
I don't have the vote.
It's not up? All right. For some,
Mine isn't either.
all right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion passes. I believe video as well as, there we go. Now it's up. Perfect. Motion passed unanimously 7-0. For clarification, Councilwoman, did yours ever pop up on the screen?
It didn't pop up.
Okay, so you manually entered hers that reflect. Okay, perfect.
Mine didn't either.
And yours did not either? All right. So just for those watching at home, they were manually entered by the clerk so that they could be electronically tallied. All right, let's go with item 8.2, temporary street closure. Mr. Livingston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the 5th year, technically I guess it's a few more years, but we're not counting some of the lost years due to COVID, of Freedom Fest. So we've seen remarkable success over the years, and I've seen this trend in festivals before, so we're definitely trending upward with Freedom Fest and putting ourselves on the map even more with it. Thanks to the hard work of a lot of volunteers and a lot of city staff and whatnot. But this is a standard street closure. They're coming temporary street closure before we have Eric, I'm going to butcher your name, Ostendorf. He is the on-scene commander for this activity that we're doing. And he's going to give a brief presentation of his protocols and security measures for the event and where everybody's going to work together to get this done.
Thanks, everyone. I believe we have some slides. Thank you. So again, Oris Military and First Responders Appreciation Festival, September 6th this year. Next slide, please.
And you may have to use the clicker.
Oh, I have the clicker.
By your right hand.
Yeah, how embarrassing. Sorry.
Although, if you don't, I think
and I believe
probably
I'll let you hit off the history first before I do, yes.
Yeah, I don't think this has the street closure material. I think that was in the board packet, the council packet.
So it's not going to show up
Right,
there.
so this was a follow-up to that.
Okay. How about this? Let's go ahead and we're already up here. If you'll allow it, if council will allow it, let's go ahead and do the presentation so we understand exactly where we are with NC Freedom Fest, and then we will process the street closure and then 8.3 the festival sponsorship request as well.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Perfect.
Council, we all good with that? Mm-hmm. All right. Y'all proceed.
Yeah, we have shortened the presentation from years past because a lot of this is material now that you've heard for several years. But just to set the stage, the festival was started in 2017 under a different name back then, and then following the 2019 event, the city of Goldsboro really stepped in and asked if they could play a bigger role in the festival, have kind of more control out of the process. In that year, we really kind of formed a new model, which was the One Community, strings together a lot of nonprofits, a lot of sponsors, volunteers, et cetera. So the event is funded through in-kind support, but also through cash items, hiring the talent, setting the stage, bringing in vendors and the party pals and the face painters and all of those types of things. All of that is funded through a sponsorship campaign that literally runs the span of a year. We're already working on 2026 and we haven't even produced 2025 yet. It also includes about 100 volunteers and just under 5,000 man hours. So, you know, literally this is a 52-week project for us to be able to produce this. Thanks to a lot of volunteers, some of which were in the room tonight and have found their way out the door. This slide shows you a snapshot of sponsors, and it really is up there just to kind of show you how broad that support has become. So year to year, we have a very high retention rate. Maybe a couple of folks that sponsored last year are not in this year, and then 8 or 9 more have stepped into this year. So maybe noteworthy just to take a glance at the folks that are up there. And then one of the things that I wanted to share with you, so I'm not going to get into all of the amenities of the festival. You all understand the street fair and the concert. You understand the format, I believe. So the festival last year kind of took a turn as Eric stepped in and started playing a larger role in the planning. What you see up there, some of you have seen this in person, but what you see up there is literally a 3D model of what is now referred to as Freedom Field, where the concert takes place. So this was used really for planning purposes. It was amazing to see how this transformed the site planning. And in this configuration, we have the stage in the top left corner, and then 2 large tents for the crowd to kind of, you know, either get out of the sun or rain or whatever the conditions are. What we don't see on here are the food trucks that literally line the entire footprint of the festival. Having a 3D working model is kind of unprecedented for festivals. You know, normally volunteers get together and you kind of scratch out some ideas on a whiteboard. So this was really cool, thanks to Eric, who, by the way, concluded a 35-year career with the U.S. Air Force, and 6 days later we had him back engaged, working full-time, but now just as a volunteer, so he doesn't get paid. So the site plan, I thought would be kind of important just to share with you, so you see the level of planning that goes in. And that wraps up our presentation in terms of the festival itself. If you have questions about it, I'm happy to answer any of those. But this was really to follow the street closure, which is, I think, in your materials.
All right. Council, any questions on that presentation? Then we'll return specifically to the street closure, and then we'll keep working through our process here. Any questions on the presentation?
Doug, I have one question for you. Does the festival cause your team any financial hardship, you know, as we're considering our sponsorship, and you know, we want to make sure it's not causing you any kind of financial hardship, that your net profits are, you know, allowing you some type of sustainability so you can get started the next year?
Yeah, so the way our sponsorship campaign has worked, we work off of a budget. So our objective, by the time we get to the end of the festival, our objective is to have enough money, enough residual funds to pay the deposit for the artist for the next year, because literally we sign about 1 year out. If we go back maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we would find ourselves in the position of not being able to do that. And we really have worked hard to just increase the base of sponsorship dollars that come in, as well as to mitigate cost. I mean, a big part of what we do is manage the cost down, finding creative ways to, you know, to operate. Maybe 3 years ago, we operated Friday night and Saturday. By going just to a Saturday format, we could reduce several $1,000s of the cost. And by looking at the attendance and what the sponsors' input was, that was a pretty easy decision to make. So as the nonprofit is performing right now, by the time we get through this year's event, we should have a reserve that allows us to sign the artist for next year.
All right. On with the street closure, are there slides for that as well?
I don't believe.
Or Mr. Livingston, or is it just the agenda packet?
No, it's just the agenda packet. The
All right,
only
perfect.
thing I wanted to point out, Mayor, was it should be a legacy event after this year, according to our policy, so it'll just be going through me. And y'all are welcome to come back next year and talk about the festival. I think it's always good, but you
Be
won't
happy to
be
do that.
required to do this. You'll still have to do that, but it'll be reviewed by me and not the entire city.
And if it's okay with the council, I would like to maybe get Eric teed up to talk about a couple of points. So as we did the hot wash from the event last year, we listened carefully to what PD shared and what FD shared. And then as we worked into this year's event for the air show and the kickoff event that we did, we listened to experts from Seymour Johnson, and that radically changed kind of the footprint. So in years past, if we had a street closure, we had orange cones, and that represented the street closure. There was really no hard barrier to protect ourselves from incidents like New Orleans, and that literally redefined the process. If you want to speak to that maybe for a couple minutes about the plans.
Working with the base and with Goldsboro PD, you probably have seen the 30 some odd Jersey barriers that are sitting around Freedom Field. Those concrete barriers will be part of our security plan. GPD has already pressure washed them and painted them with a nice yellow stripe, so there shouldn't be any accidents in low light conditions as the festival winds up. And those will be placed at junctures around what you see on your street festival, your street closure plan. And this means instead of having an army of volunteers manning each of those with a golf cart and a stop sign, we've got hard barriers that'll be seated at all of those street closure points. And that provides that new level of security based on the recent attacks like one in New Orleans. So GPD has been a huge help in working those into our plan.
Dorf, correct me if I'm wrong, GPD also expressed interest in being able to use those for other events as well as kind of a standard operating procedure for folks that are using that whole chunk of the street, right?
Absolutely. Those Jersey barriers will live on the edges of Freedom Field. We'll place them as neatly as we can so they're not an eyesore during the time they're not being used. And they'll always be available for other events that decide they want to have that same level of security.
And then in listening to PD's after action, if you will, from last year, Eric looked at different traffic flow patterns to bring vendors and static displays in and out. He looked at the issues that were related to the car and bike show. If you all were there last year, you saw as the car and bike show wrapped up, we had vehicle traffic where there was pedestrian traffic. We deconflicted all of those with the site plan for this year. That doesn't mean everything will be perfect, but part of what we have to do is just adapt as we see an issue that might present itself. But I think the plan this year, from a logistics standpoint, to get people in and out safely is a significant step up from last year. And last year was nothing to be ashamed of.
A lot of lessons learned, so yeah.
Pretty strong.
Yeah.
Perfect. Council, any other comments or questions on the street closure? All right, if not, I see there's some folks have already expressed their opinion. Do we have a motion to approve the street closure request as presented?
So moved.
All right, Councilman Boyette and then Pro Tem Jones as the second. Is there any debate? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. Please vote electronically unless there are errors. And then, if you would, please indicate for Councilwoman Matthews. Councilwoman Matthews, would you just verbally express yours, if you don't mind? Okay, perfect. There we go. I want to make sure that we have properly documented votes. Motion passes 7-0. So item 8.2, temporary street closure, is approved. Let's roll straight into 8.3, the Freedom Fest sponsorship request. What are we talking about?
So the application that was just approved results in a $400 fee to the nonprofit. We would ask that the city waive the $400 street closure permit fee as part of your in-kind support for an event that truly is part of the city.
Okay. And so this would be for a sponsorship request of $400 of in-kind, so basically just simply waiving that fee.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Lewiston and Mr. Lawrence, are there any technicals on how that needs to be worded as a motion? Because it would truly be a sponsorship as opposed to purely just a fee waiver.
Any in kind, as far as that goes, it would just be a sponsorship.
Okay. So we just, a
Just
motion to
sponsorship in the amount
of $400.
that's equal to the fee required for the street closure.
So, council, is there a motion on the floor to offer a sponsorship to NC Freedom Fest in an amount to mirror that which would have been spent as a fee for the street closure?
So moved.
All right. Is there a second? Motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any debate? Hearing none. Pro Tem? Is there second call? Any debate? Hearing none, we'll call the vote to sponsor Freedom Fest. An amount not to exceed. All right, and there should be one more. All right, let me know when it's final. All right, a motion passes on a vote, unanimous vote 7-0. The sponsorship request to mirror the fee waiver is approved. So there we go for that. Anything else? I see you're itching to say something. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we can work with that. I love it.
Cool.
Y'all have a
Thank
good
you
night.
for
Thank you so
everything.
much
Thank
for
you.
what you're
Good
doing.
night.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, we have concluded the business items on our agenda. Mr. Livingston, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I will say one thing on the Freedom Fest, and that is it has the ability to easily grow to 40 to 50,000 individuals as they get larger and larger acts coming in. So the potential for growth there is just tremendous. Just a couple items I'd like to report on as I sent out in the weekly update. The City of Goldsboro was notified this past Monday that we were officially off the unit assist list after 5 years of being on it or so. The mayor and the public information officer will be sending out some more information, a public release on that. I'd like to publicly thank our hardworking finance team and also the department heads that have also helped. It's truly a team effort working to try to watch our finances and get things done in a timely manner so we can not have that issue anymore. We're also working on updating our strategic plan. Octavius and his crew there are working feverishly at that with the department heads. We've been using our strategic plan for a number of years, and the metrics that we sort of developed by partnering with other communities through the School of Government. And so that you can see where we've trended on that. And we're kind of taking a little bit of a turn there as we go into our next phase of that plan, which is more community engagement, which will be one of our upcoming initiatives, which will be sending out community surveys. This is going to help us understand what the community wants, what the citizens want. We kind of know what other cities and towns are doing throughout the state on the benchmarking program, but what we really need to understand is how well we're doing in relation to the customers and the citizens that we serve every day. And I think about 2 weeks we'll be sending you a council calendar, kind of nailing down the rest of the things throughout the rest of this fiscal year, including things like the retreat, so be on the lookout for that. In September or early October, we plan to have a 5-year CIP to you. We're just revising that and make sure everything's where it needs to be in that document. That's very important to help us align those priorities that the City Council has to the spending plan that we've recommended for you that will be also upcoming as part of the future budgets. Also, we have Jamie Stanley, who is now our new Public Works Director. Actually, his first official day will be Wednesday. Yep, and we're excited for Jamie, and he's been doing a great job in leading the department, and I'm very confident that he will be doing great things in the near future here. One of the things this year, because we didn't put in a merit system, we were working on some other things, we want to revamp our performance review system and for all the employees and our merit system. It's been a little bit broken, so we think we can do better on that. So those are our priorities, Mayor, and I'll entertain any questions, or at least some of our priorities, our higher level priorities.
Sounds good. And as always, your weekly reports are much more in depth, so thank you for that. Council, we'll move to Section 10, Mayor, Council Member comments. As is tradition, first meeting of the month, I'll begin the dais to my right. Councilman Boyette, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. As always, thank you to all of our hardworking city employees, each and every one of you. The city couldn't run without you. As I always say, you're valued and appreciated, each and every one of you. Special congratulations to Mr. Stanley for your new position.
as the manager said, I know you'll do well, and I'm happy to see you be able to carry on in that. I've said many times I'm a believer for promotion from within, and it makes me happy to see that happen. And we, in some of our other departments, we've had some fine department heads that's come up through the ranks, our police chiefs and so forth and on. So congratulations for being in that position. And lastly, a quick extra shout out. I guess it seems like I focus on one extra shout out when I'm talking about our employees and people that are involved in our organization, to the incredible work that the DGDC and that board does. I mean, we all know that. I mean, from seeing it, but I like to hear somebody say thank you again every now and then. For decades, I've watched this organization thrive and provide and give back to us, and I'm happy to be a part of it on this side of things. And thank you to the staff and the board and that department. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman, floor is yours.
I'd just like to say congratulations to Mr. Stanley, and also kudos to everyone who put in the work to get us off the unit assistance list. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Pro Tem, floor is yours.
Yes. First, I'd like to say the Purple Heart ceremony, Councilwoman Weeks and City Manager and myself attended the Purple Heart on August the 2nd. It was a privilege and an honor for me to read the proclamation and to just give honor to those men and women who gave themselves in defense of the nation. And as I said on Saturday, freedom is never free, and it comes at a bold cost to others who have given themselves, and they deserve celebration and support. Also, I was honored to represent the city at the Miss Lovely's pageant on Saturday. I presented a check from the Special Olympics for $3,000+, and I am so proud of the city of Goldsboro, and let us continue building Goldsboro where everybody feels celebrated. That is a passion of mine because I was a special ed teacher, and I know how important it is to feel special, everybody, to be celebrated. And it was just awesome to see them, the men and the women in their gowns and talking and singing. It was just absolutely beautiful. In my district, I belong to another organization, and we did present the Crisis Center with a check. I would like to congratulate Timothy Whitfield as the newly elected interim director of the Crisis Center. It has a great impact in our community, and I would like to thank them and congratulations to Timothy. I had the opportunity to go to the North Carolina Black Elected Officials Conference. It was my first time. I saw some new faces, and I met, there are a lot of older faces there that I know because I am the State Impact Chair. I would like to congratulate all the newly elected officials as well as City Councilwoman Matthews. Congratulations to Jamie. I look forward to working with you, and I'm so glad to hear the news, Matt. I was just jumping for joy. So thank you, and I think that is it.
All right. Councilwoman, floor is yours.
No comment.
All right. Councilwoman, floor is yours.
Congratulations, Mr. Stanley. It's very obvious we're all proud of you. So congratulations on your position, and congratulations to you, Ms. Matthews. Publicly, I want to state that we're all proud of you, this council. And I have a constituent in my district. She's watching tonight, and I just want to wish Miss Sudie McCandless a happy 103rd birthday. I mean, she's 103 years young. You know, Mayor, she just wanted to thank you so much for you giving your time. it was like a movie star had visited with her, spoke with her. She was just in awe. She was like, the mayor has spoke to me. It was just amazing. So happy birthday, Miss Sudi. We appreciate you. I want to live to be 103, so make sure you share all your secrets with me.
Councilman, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to your seance. I'd like to thank you as well and the city manager for coming out to Mosa Park to talk about that ditch issue that we have out there. It was really helpful, which stemmed a town hall for District 6, to be on the lookout for the town hall for District 6, so we can talk about some things going on. To Councilwoman Brandy, great job, excellent job, I salute you. To the AKAs of Goldsboro, they gave a preparedness class on last week at the library, which sparked interest for me to come talk to the city manager about things that we can do, hold a town hall or something to inform our citizens of our processes. The gentleman who gave the class on last week was the official from Johnston County, so he always referred back to Johnston County, so we really didn't get the feedback for Wayne County and Goldsboro and what we're supposed to do when tragedy hits or we get another Matthew. So I think that's very important that we put something like that on so that our constituents and citizens can know exactly what to do if disaster strikes. And that's it. That's all I have.
When disaster strikes.
All right, fantastic comments and feedback, everybody. Like everyone else, Councilwoman Matthews, congratulations on being elected to your leadership position. It brings attention to Goldsboro whenever we're rising in ranks of different organizations, and I'm proud of you and happy for you, and look forward to seeing how that works out and how we are able to celebrate the successes in the future. One other success that I want to emphasize, actually before I do that, Councilwoman Weeks, you mentioned Miss Sudi. She's a hoot. If she's still watching, you're amazing. Thank you so much for the invitation. As I told her sitting in her living room, beginning to go and talk to people who have been watching this place evolve longer than I've been alive by a multiplier of 2 is pretty wild, and getting that perspective and getting to hear how things have grown and evolved, and some for the better and some for the worse, but having those conversations. If I'm going to make it to 103, I want to make it in the way that she has. So again, that's absolutely fantastic. Our code enforcement team, you guys are crushing it. And what I want to remind everybody is you do not have to do everything in 1 month. What we need is start out like you can hold out. We need continuous pressure. We're trying to raise the bar in this community. Don't burn out in 1 month or 2 months. Set the bar and then hold the bar. And I feel like we've got a really, really strong team there. I feel like we've got really good partnerships with them and other parts of the community. And I feel like we're really trying to raise the bar in every neighborhood all over the city. And I just could not be prouder and more grateful for the work that they do every day. And then lastly from me, the unit assistance list has been a just kind of shadow hanging over this city for a little while. And being able to say that we're officially off of it is a big sigh of relief. But what I want you to understand is that doesn't mean that something changed yesterday. That means that something changed 2 years ago. That means that there was problems were identified, solutions were put in place, the course was held by this board, by these managers, by these department heads to say this is what has to happen to get things right, to keep things right, and to set a culture of financial accountability. And I am just thrilled to see the fruits of these good decisions, and we continue to make good decisions because we remember what it can be. And so we're going to continue to do good work. We're going to continue to try to lead the city in the most equitable and ethical way possible. We're going to continue to highlight the good things that are being done and the good efforts that are out there. And I'm going to stop talking so we can get out of here at a reasonable time. So, yes, sir.
Last thing, from Raleigh, the state of Raleigh, they're passing many budgets.
Yep.
So we're still on continuing resolution. All current money are all the same except for non-reoccurring funds. They go away, but everything else still operates as it did last year on the actual budget. So many budgets until we can come up with a solution.
That's a fun conversation. You and I track that incredibly closely. That's a thing. Yes, yeah, that is a thing right now. All right, Mr. Lawrence. Earlier you told me no closed session. You still holding to your word?
I am.
Awesome. With that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded by Councilman Boyette to adjourn. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, seeing none, motion passes. We stand adjourned. Thank you.